In this lesson, I want to briefly review how the legacy Web Forms application handles form submissions. We discussed the specific server controls for creating form elements in the previous module, so we aren't going to cover them again in detail here. Instead, we're more concerned with the overall form submission workflow and just how the application handles the incoming data. I have our Create Task page open in Visual Studio, and you can see our familiar markup controls on this ASPX page. Let's jump over to the code behind to look more closely at how the posted form data is handled. One of the challenges of web forms is that you often have to handle both the get and post version of a page inside of the same code behind methods. As you can see, this requires you to place certain code inside of conditional blocks that check whether the request is a postback or not. So first we're checking if the page was a post request, and if it's not, we want to run this bind dropdowns method. This initially populates our form's dropdown elements, like the category and associated message, with options to choose from. However, we don't want to run this binding code on a postback, or else it will overwrite the data the user selected for those controls before we can access their values further down. Next, we want to check if the page was a postback again, as well as if it has a URL parameter of task ID. If it does, this means that we're updating an existing entity. So we want to pull that entity out of the database and update our form controls with its information. Further down in this file, we want to handle actually persisting the submitted data. So first we have to check if the page was a postback, and if it was, we check to see if the submitted data is valid. We'll be looking more at validation in the next module. The most important thing about this block of code is understanding that it decides whether to update an existing entity or create a new one, all based on whether that URL parameter is present. So the task instance will either be a new item or the item retrieved from the database, and then we just have to set its properties to what the user filled out and save those changes again. An important concept to understand is that Web Forms repopulates the form values posted by the user onto these form controls for us to access. This is taken care of behind the scenes by the Web Forms framework before this page load event that all of our code is inside of even fires. This allows us to retrieve the values of form elements in a similar way to how we assign them. This is another example of how Web Form uses abstractions to give the illusion that we're working with a stateful, more desktop-like application where these properties would be readily available. In MVC, this process works differently, and in many cases it's often much cleaner. So then how do we go about receiving and handling this type of data? Well, MVC provides an elegant alternative to this Web Forms workflow called model binding, so let's explore how that works in the next lesson.